Today, we're going to be attempting at rebuilding the rear end of my 2003 Mitsubishi Evolution. Let's go. So anyone who has bought a second-hand car, especially one from overseas, knows that sometimes you can find surprises, and most of the time these aren't going to be the good sort of ones either. Now, at some stage during this car's life, it has been hit in the rear end, as you can see from some of the crumpled bits of this rear section here. In there is also crumpled rust, and if you look from the side, it's actually not dead straight. So they look like they've tried to beat it out and maybe fix it, but when I removed my rear bumper to go from fiberglass to the original OEM bumper, I noticed this and I'm not 100% happy with it. So let's start getting that repaired, so then we can go and put a new piece on. Now this is my brand new piece that we got from Vega Motorsports, so let's have a look at what's involved. But before we get started, we have to go and remove all the pieces and trim pieces and all the spare wheel and everything out of the boot. Then we can go ahead and start sanding down all of this old seam sealer and get access to where all of our spot welds are. So let's start getting everything out. So first we're taking out the floor panel, followed by the spare tire, which is still the original one that come with the car, believe it or not. Now I'm just cleaning all the dirt and dust out, as I haven't really gotten into the boot much since owning it. Now that all that stuff is out of the way and all the boot is now clear, now we'll go ahead and get a wire brush and clean out all of the body filler, so then we can go and get to the rest of our spot welds. I don't know if you can see it just there. Once we have access to all of those, we'll go and center punch all of them, and then we have a special drill bit where we can drill out just the first sheet of metal and not affect the second sheet, which we'll then need when we go and do the spot weld. So let's go and clean all this out. Glasses, check. It is actually a lot worse on the inside than I thought. There is a massive thick bead running along the whole bottom part of this panel. So put this cloth here to save any bit of my interior from this goop mess that is about to happen. So wish me luck. Let's start cleaning all this out. You can call every time. It appears that my plan did work and the blanket caught most of it, but there is rivets all along the bottom here. Now I did briefly look at them and they do correspond to the ones on the outside. So I've gone ahead and I've just put a circle around every single one that I can see. Now we'll go ahead and get the center of those holes and punch them with a punch. So then we have a reference for the middle of the hole. Then we will go and get a special body panel drill for the spot welds, and what it does is I'll grab it and I'll show you exactly what it does, because it's a lot easier than me just trying to talk crap off the top of my head. Alright, now this is the special drill bit. So I don't know if you can see that too well, about there. There's a little tiny point at the top. Now that goes into the center punch of the hole, and then there's little wings on the side which drill out just enough to separate the top panel from the second, so then you still have something to spot weld to once you put the new panel in. So let's start centering all those holes and let's get them drilled. Anticipation, getting close to the edge. I see you more than a friend. Better late than never. Now that all the spot welds are drilled out, I'm using a seam splitter, which is a body panel tool used to separate panels from each other.
Is it only a dream?
Oh, finally we got that out. Now, what a pain that was to get out, but here it is, the old one. As you can see, it was crumpled a fair bit in the back here, also around this area here, but that one's finally out. And then now, to line up some holes and get this new piece into there. So let's go and straighten up any bent panels that might have got out of alignment while we were doing that. We'll even go and sand down the rust and put some etch primer down. All right, so now that we have test fitted this piece in, we've got it held in with 2 clamps for now, just so we could see that everything was all good. I also went and put my latch back in and made sure that the boot closes in this position, which it does. So now what we have to do is draw around the outside of the piece, and then we'll remove it, and we'll get a belt sander or a buff pad and then just sand the inner edge of all around this piece here. Then we'll go ahead and I have some zinc Weld-Through primer, which we'll spray on the edges of that beaver panel, and then we can put it back in and start welding it. But this is just to ensure that we don't get any rust once the 2 pieces are mated together, which is quite a common thing, especially from factory. I'm not sure if you can quite see it, but you can see some minor rust just in these little spots. So that's from factory, and obviously they missed some areas where there was some exposed metal. So what we'll do with those ones is we'll get fish oil and just cover all of that rust with fish oil, and then hopefully put some rust converter on, and that will keep that in that condition and hopefully not get any worse. All right, so now that we have all of our exposed sections all sanded back now, we're just going to go over with some acetone and clean off all of the dust that has settled on the piece. Make sure that there's nothing to stop the paint from sticking to it. And then once we clean all that, then we'll go and put our Weld-Through primer on the areas where we're doing the spot welds, and then we'll do the same on the other piece. All right, now that it has all been sprayed and prepped, it's time to fit the panel back in. Now we're just taking a measurement of the ridge of the panel to the center of the hole that was drilled out, so that we can get a rough location of where the panel needs to sit. And now that is lined up, we can go ahead and start to weld it in place. But as you can see on the factory panel that we removed, the spot welds aren't even in the center of the panel tabs. Imagine that. So anything we can do to improve it will be a bonus. Alright, so our welder is set up. Panels in, I've got some Tack screws in, I've closed the bonnet, There's about 1/2 mil difference between the gap of this panel and the bonnet. So I think we're gonna run with that. It's sitting in better on these tabs than when it was factory original. So we're just gonna go ahead and put some tacks in those first top sections, get that all tacked, and then we can work our way around and manipulate the panels as we need. Maybe pulling it over a bit more in some spots. We'll see how we go, but at the moment it is looking pretty straight to me. So let's start tacking it all up. Now, if you told me at the start of last year that in a year's time you'll be tearing apart one of your dream cars and replacing panels, I wouldn't have believed a word that you'd said. But to be able to do this and get outside my comfort zone and try this is just an amazing feeling, and hopefully a good sign of bigger things to come in the future. And oh, that is so good to get rid of that helmet now. Oh, probably can't even hear me. Now that is fully tacked in. What a mission that was. It's nearly 30 degrees here today and I'm sweating my ass off. Excuse the French, but can't believe that's finally done. So the spot welds aren't the prettiest. I haven't really done welding in a fair while, but it's not going anywhere. And listen to this. Oh, that is just perfection. Closes all nice. And then once we get all that painted, we'll get my rear bumper sent off with the car and all the brackets as well. And then we'll get all those painted and it should be beautiful. So thank you guys if you stayed around to this far in the video. I appreciate all your support. I'm going to try and be uploading more frequently now that this new year I've got to get my ass into gear and start getting this thing back on the road and ready to drive. So thank you for watching, safe driving, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.